So if you have been watching the news just about a month ago, there was this amazing piece of news. Coinbase went IPO in a direct listing, valued at 76 billion, if you believe that number, or 81 million, some other numbers, or even if you look at the current market cap of about $61 billion. Coinbase IPO was unlike any other Wall Street, any other market debut the Wall Street has ever seen. To me, 2021 has been a year of breakthrough for the crypto digital assets and blockchain industry. So if you're one of those that watched these events and thought of this valuation, you may think it is absurd. You may think that it doesn't align with Coinbase's revenue model, which is basically being a crypto exchange. And you wonder that why is the industry or the market valuing it so high? Well, to me, the valuation that the industry or market is putting on is not really about the business model of Coinbase as a crypto exchange. It is really a validation of the entire industry. It is a legitimacy of the entire movement. It is valuation of what is to become next from these companies that have been growing in the last 10 years or so. So, ladies and gentlemen, even if this juggernaut of Coinbase is moving, even if you believe it or not, you understand it or not, or you like it or not, crypto assets, digital assets, and blockchain are here to stay. So let's talk about 8 predictions where blockchain will take us. Before that, let's go back and do a real quick poll. I don't know if people can poll on the chat. If not, that's fine. Just imagine in your minds and somehow through near communication, I will get your responses. On a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you understand blockchain as a technology? 1 being beginner and 5 being expert. And as you've thought of that, then think about on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you understand blockchain as a strategy? Okay. And if you can, just post on the chat so I'll get some numbers there. Moving on, I see a few numbers, okay? Let's go back in history just for a second to get some context. Imagine that you are in the 1800s, around 1860s to be specific. California has just become a state of United States in the 1850s. It is a time of peril. It is a time of political and economic strife in the United States. During that time, if you wonder how did mail, physical paper mail, used to get from the one coast, the Atlantic coast of the United States to the Pacific coast of the United States, it used to go in horse-ridden buggies, from one coast to the other, and it used to take about 25 days for the mail to reach from one coast to the other. So one entrepreneur decided one fine day that that's not good enough. We need to change that. We need an improvement. So he started what was then known as the Pony Express. It was a series of relay of horse riders who would ride about 75 to 100 miles. There were about 150 to 200 riders that would ride and take mail from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast, passing the rough terrain of Utah and Nevada and California. And they cut down the time to take mail from one coast to the other from 25 days to merely 10 days. An amazing improvement at that time. It changed the routine for people living in San Francisco who would wait for the mail. The Pony Express best came when they announced the inaugural address of President Lincoln, and that took them about 10 hours. Amazing achievement. Around the same time, in the 1860s, Congress had passed a law to install telegraph poles intercontinentally or transcontinentally in the United States. On October 24th of 1862, telegraph sent the first message, transcontinental. In 2 days' time, on October 26th, the Pony Express was shut down. It lost about $200,000 in that time's money. It was made obsolete. That is a familiar story. That is a familiar story of technology-based evolution. That is a familiar story of Netflix versus Blockbuster. That is a familiar story of so many retail stores. That is a familiar story of publishing. That's a familiar story of newspapers. So as I talk about these new trends that we see in the blockchain space, think, what are you building? Are you building a Pony Express or are you building the telegraph? An original Banksy painting has been burned and turned into an NFT. For the folks living under a rock, NFT is a non-fungible token. Grimes, the artist, sold $6 million worth of digital art as NFTs, basically a set of 10 videos. A 10-second clip was sold for $6.6 million. And one of the most conservative organizations in the world, the BBC, gets into the blockchain tokens with Doctor Who. Good news for the fans. And yes, your favorite, Tom Brady, has launched an NFT company. This column in the New York Times by a journalist who wrote about NFTs actually minted the column into an NFT and sold for $560,000 of your US dollars. My favorite story thus far. People have spent more than $230 million buying and trading digital collectibles of NBA highlights and on NBA Top Shot. And it's not just NBA Top Shot or Beeple or Jack Dorsey's first tweet, but IBM is about to turn patents into NFTs. Welcome to the party. Looking at another side of payments, JP Morgan tested blockchain payments literally out of this world in space. If for some reason we have a blackout on Earth and all the infrastructure for payments goes down on Earth, we still have a way to make blockchain-based payment through space. PayPal is getting into the payment space or crypto payment space in the UK market using Venmo, a favorite app that you all might use. And now you can buy NFTs on eBay, and blockchain-driven collectibles are coming soon on a mainstream platform like eBay. Let's talk about CDBC. Bank of Israel is examining how to issue digital shekel as central bank digital currency. SWIFT, the network that all the bank transactions for trade finance work, are talking about new technologies driving tectonic shifts in the payment landscape. And for that, I say, no shit, Sherlock. Welcome and wake up, old dinosaurs. Here's another interesting one. Since Coinbase, Block.one prepares for new crypto exchange with about $10 billion worth of backing. China launched its own digital currency, digital yuan, CDBC, and now US has to respond. Closer to home, MasterCard and Island Pay launched the world's first CDBC-based card. Digital Dollar Project, which is a public-private partnership in the United States, launches the US digital dollar or US crypto-based dollar, if you will, and is launching 5 pilots. So looking at all this, here's my thought. In 2011, Mark Andreessen said, software is eating the world. To me, today, blockchain is literally eating the world. I will share with you 8 set of predictions that I claim will happen. But I'm not telling you any timeline. They are on different adoption timelines. After you look at these 8, you will tell me if you believe me or not. So let's go through them. Payments. All trade finance and retail payments are executed on a smart contract and blockchain-based payment infrastructure. That's where we'll end up. Digital assets. Everything you see around you, either physically, which is your house, your phone, your car, your television, your fridge, or virtual video game assets or your own holographic images are monetized as tokenized blockchain-based digital assets and are traded on peer-to-peer data sharing exchanges, and marketplaces. All forms of securities, be it stocks, bond, real estate, private funds, commodities, are essentially converted into blockchain-based digital securities and are traded on thriving secondary exchanges. Web 3.0, the era of cloud computing has evolved into always-on computing on high-performance, decentralized network, enabling a parallel internet distinct from the Web 2.0 stack. And specialized protocols on distributed networks and platforms become de facto. Accounting as a function is largely done on distributed ledger-based platforms and networks, not as much by humans. Chain of asset custody, all supply chains share a single source of truth amongst business partners. And distributed ledgers become the underlying secure data sharing layer for IoT and autonomous vehicle data. Identity, all of your identity, either government issued or company issued or biometric or genetic, are managed via blockchain-based platforms. Blockchain-based platforms become a de facto registry for intellectual property, and users have more control and consent over their data. All titles are recorded and managed and transferred through a blockchain-enabled platform. And by title, I mean anything to do with automotive, vehicles, real estate, art, video, music, anything you could think of. The architecture of money is changing. We as consumers have an option to use both stable private currencies like DM and CDBCs, central bank digital currencies globally. The race to establish a stable currency for the internet is caused by and fuels further geopolitical power struggles between government and private currencies, and we're already seeing a lot of effects of that even today. DeFi, decentralized finance. We have moved into an era of fintech, transfer of money on the internet, to decentralized finance, transfer of value on blockchain-based networks. So all traditional financial services like lending, remittance, trading, yield farming, insurance, derivatives are on thriving DeFi-based networks. Here's the most important one if you're in the financial services world. These financial services are on new set of rails, on a new set of players, alternative to the traditional financial infrastructure and public security markets. So here's the poll. Do you believe Roop's predictions will come true? 1, you think Roop is off his rockers and hasn't taken his medication. 2, unlikely. 3, some will. 4, most will. 5, all of them will. I'm aligned with this vision. So take a quick second and vote, and I will continue. So the question for you, ladies and gentlemen, is, do you want to watch these plays on your screen and be a mere spectator? Or do you want to be the one creating these plays in the real world and be a player? The choice is yours. This game is going to continue. Here's a set of jumbled words that I wrote in 2017, and I just put this here to make me look more smarter than actually I am. So take a look at that. Moving on, to wrap up, if you're interested, I have a book coming up called Profits in Chaos, Blockchain Strategy to Sow and Survive Disruption. And you may sign up for release updates and discounts on profitsInchaos.com. With that, I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.